morning you could be stressed out about getting to your job on time because you're late every morning. But it will pass when you get there. The stress will pass when you arrive. And they say when you arrive late, try to look vexed, like as if, well, you were trying your best to avoid being late. So when you reach, try to look vexed. Don't reach late and look like you're pleased with yourself. Look upset. So you might be the type of person, every morning you have that episode of acute stress. You are late every morning. I'm not asking for people to admit that. I'm just saying maybe, We're not asking for anybody to admit. But then there's chronic stress. This is long-lasting, right? So there is something that is causing long-term stress for you. You're dealing with it regularly. You're dealing with it daily. Some people might say the example of chronic stress for them is a job situation that they may be in, or maybe some family life situation that they are dealing with. So there are different categories, and these categories we refer to for stress. We deal with the stress differently. So as I said, the acute will pass, but the chronic will have some very devastating impacts both on our physical self and on our mental self, because the chronic is long-lasting, right? So chronic stress is a problem. So I wanted to just show this is small, the picture, but what body systems of ours are impacted by this chronic, repetitive stress that we may have, or distress, bad stress. I put the all body system. So let us go through the body. It's small. I don't know if people can see, but I'll start from the bottom, joints and so on. That is also as a result sometimes of high levels of stress. Moving up, you can experience, as a woman, remember I said the women's health would come in, you can actually experience missed periods because of stress. You can experience fertility issues because of stress. For men, you could experience erectile dysfunction because of stress. Right? So the sexual reproductive system is impacted. The muscular system is impacted. Your skeletal system is impacted, right? Moving up, your digestive system. So sometimes because of stress, you will suffer from things like ulcerated stomach. You can suffer from ulcers. You can suffer from acid reflux, right? You going up to the other systems, the heart, the cardiovascular system. So, of course, high stress impacts our heart. High stress impacts our blood pressure, right? And high stress can lead to heart attack and stroke and other cardiovascular disease. Your respiratory system, your breathing is impacted by high stress. So your respiratory system is impacted. Your immune system is impacted. If you're very stressed, you notice you might get sick more often. So you get the cold or you get the flu because your immune system is weaker than it would be if you're not stressed. And let's move up to the nervous system. We're talking about mental health. The brain is very, very, very negatively impacted. The nervous system negatively impacted by stress. So sometimes you have a lot of headaches because you are stressed out, right? You feel fatigued because you are stressed, right? So there is a lot of mental anguish associated with stress. So I wanted to highlight that although we're focusing on the mental health aspect this evening, but all our body systems are negatively impacted by constant stress. You're always stressed. All right. Some of those hormones that are causing this negative impact, one that we like to call the fight or flight or adrenaline. So you notice if you are stressed out, you may feel that your body is operating in a way that is not, it's like at a hyper state. So everything is moving rapidly. Your breathing is rapid. Your heart is beating fast. All that is an impact of the hormone adrenaline. Adrenaline is supposed to help us to fight or flee if we're in danger. But if you're under stress, it's just there causing this type of response in your body all the time, which obviously is bad, right? So you are under the impact of adrenaline, or we call it epinephrine as well, under stress all the time if you are chronically stressed, and that is bad. You cannot be fighting or fleeing all the time. There's another bad hormone, or another hormone that causes some bad impact, cortisol. I like to call that the belly fat one. So if you're under constant stress, there is this hormone called cortisol that causes the deposit of belly fat. You would have seen maybe some advertisements talking about, do you gain weight around your stomach? You may be stressed. It's true. So, we have a little, ladies, we may be stressed, and that is the reason we can say that is the reason we're not getting the belly fat. The belly fat is just not, it might be stress. So cortisol is a very, very damaging hormone. If it's always present, it increases our blood glucose. So we're talking about risk of diabetes, high blood sugar, and as I mentioned, it is referred to as well as that belly fat depositing hormone. Your immune response is affected, your reproductive process is affected. So some bad hormones. I spoke about cortisol already, I will skip it. But what about our mental health, which is what that is the whole focus that we're supposed to have this evening. What about our mental health with long-term or chronic stress? What is the psychological impact of constant stress? How do you know that you are suffering from a stress response and it's impacting your mental health? What are some of these signs? And I have listed some, but you can feel free to let me know if you feel that there's anything missing. What if you're always irritable? So you notice anything, if the wind is blowing too strong, you irritated, you irritable. If somebody is by you talking too loudly, it's not a person you don't like, but you're just irritable these days. You're at work and you just find they talking too much around you. You're irritable for anything. Or aggression. So you're not just irritable, but somebody asks you something, you're stressed out, right away you snap at the person in an aggressive way. What happened to you now? That can be a sign that your mental health is being impacted by stress, right? You're normally not like that, but you feel more irritable than normal, and your responses, how you deal with people, is more aggressive than normal. You cannot sleep. So, I love sleeping too much, but there are some people that are unable to sleep and they suffer from insomnia, and one of the reasons can be they are undergoing chronic stress, right? So stress does impact people by making them unable to sleep. And lacking sleep, of course, will increase the other symptoms that we will talk about. So if you're lacking proper sleep and proper rest, then everything is exacerbated. Everything is going to blow up, right? The fatigue, the exhaustion. Sometimes people can be tired or feel low energy, and they did sleep, but that can be a sign too of being mentally impacted by high stress. So you slept, but you're still sluggish. You still just feel like you cannot do what you are supposed to do in your day. That is a possible sign of there being a stressful situation. The sadness or tears. Now, interestingly, I have been exposed to this thought process that as black people, particularly, I will bring in women again as black women, because we have so much, oftentimes, to do, that the normal expression of poor mental health, that is the sadness and the constant crying maybe, that oftentimes we don't even see that symptom in our population, which is something interesting, and I don't know if people can relate. So somebody might be going through a weakened mental health period. They can be stressed out, but that crying thing, because of culture, they might not do that like other cultures. So, because and I said women, but really men as well, because we also, in our culture, it's not macho, to cry openly. So people might really not show that particular symptom, that sadness or tears, as much in our culture as others, just because of how people talk about crying openly, which is sad, I feel, because emotions are meant to be displayed, all right? But we do have something about curbing crying. And the last one, your memory, your concentration. You forgetting things, you cannot stick to certain tasks. That might be a sign that your mental health has been impacted by your situation, your stressful situation. Now, if you're continually stressed, it will lead to one or possibly both of the two most common mental health illnesses, depression and anxiety. These two are very, very common. Of course, there are other mental health illnesses that people know about, your schizophrenia, for instance, or delusional behavior, but these are not as common as depression and anxiety. And sometimes people feel like they are not real mental health illnesses because they're so common. Like, what is anxiety? Because you're anxious, that's a mental health issue. Yes, it is. Because operating where you're constantly panicking or in fear, you're at a constant high state of adrenaline, you're anxious, that is actually a mental health illness. And depression, as I said, not everybody experiences it as a low mood. Some people may be going through depression, but they're still plodding on. They're doing their work. They're doing their tasks. They're doing what they have to do. But really and truly, their mental capacity has lowered. The thoughts that they have internally are not positive. So that is depression. And the last one, I put it a little bigger, it's burnout. Many of us approach burnout, and we know we're approaching burnout, but we just somehow cannot stop. And burnout now happens when you just have all this overwhelming stress, and your brain, your mental state can no longer take it. So you just drop. So everything you were expected to do, one day you just cannot do it. You have burnt out. So it's summertime, and I personally have not had a vacation since last year's summer, and I cannot take a vacation this summer. And I'm saying to myself, that is the perfect remedy for burnout. Because a whole calendar year and there hasn't been a break, and there is work stress and work stress and work stress. That is the recipe, or that is the recipe, I should have said, for burnout. So I have to tell myself, everybody has gone on summer vacation. I am, carrying multiple different things because other people are on vacation. I have to think about when am I scheduling my vacation, because although I want to do what I have to do, but there will come a time if you push it that you just will not be able to do anything. So you have to try to catch it before. And burnout is, you see somebody burn out, it's not because the person might be, you might be accustomed of doing so much, but when you burn out, you just have zero capacity. All right? So, and people that are depending on you, and if you are a nurturer, and you are a giver, and you are a carer, when you burn out now, after you burn out, that's when people are, where the food she used to be able to cook, or where's the help she used to give me, or he used to come and pick me up every morning, where him now, after you burn out. So oftentimes people don't even pick up that you are about to burn out. So you have to try to preempt the burnout, because you know I am taking on too much and it is going on for too long. So I need to find a way to stop the burnout, because when you burn out, when you burn out, then the people that were depending on you, you cannot provide what you're providing, so it doesn't help you, it doesn't help them, right? Because you burnt out. So I wanted to highlight burnout because I think we sometimes, when we talk about mental health, we talk about depression and anxiety, but burnout is not necessarily a mental health illness. It's not a categorized one on any sort of health scale, but it is something that happens to people, and it's worthy of mention. You just burn out. So the goal is to not get there. Sure.
You're speaking of burnouts, I guess for my benefits and the rest of us, are there any, how can I put it, outward signs of burnout? Is it like one day I walk in and I just fall on and faint? So, from your experience, what are some like visible signs that someone has, burnt out?
So some of the signs are similar to what we just expressed a little while ago in terms of the irritability and so on, the irritability, the exhaustion. But some people are so good, though, at masking signs because they're pushing through that you really may see no sign of burnout in certain people. So it's very individual how people express or showcase that they're approaching burnout. For me personally, as I mentioned myself, why I am thinking of burnout for myself is because I'm thinking of a time frame in which I haven't had a break. So I'm just, I'm doing it by time. Like, okay, normally every year I would have a vacation. I haven't had one yet. So that's for me, without even seeing the outward signs yet. There might be some mental signs, like I just fed up with everybody, like why does people troubling me again in that office, So there might be some mental signs that I am approaching the burnout phase, but outwardly people mightn't see. But I just know based on time, I need to take a break every year, and a year has passed and I haven't taken a break. So I would really say it's very individual, and you may never know for some people that they are approaching burnout because they will function until they just cannot function. And they might just be the type of person to just flop, to just, one day I just can't. So you mightn't see a little diminishing. They might be operating up there, and then one day they just at zero. And that does happen. So that's why this conversation now is important because, as I said, we have to try to preempt that stage. So you know you know what is stress, you know what stress can cause, you know how mental health is linked to levels of stress. What can you do to pacify before you burn out, or you reach the depressive episode, or you reach the anxiety sort of stage? So that is what we're trying to do. I don't know if anybody has experienced burnout. Maybe I should ask that. And what was your sign? Or were you the type that just burnt out and nobody saw it coming? I don't know if anybody has a personal burnout experience to share, but it is something I know that happens to people. So I don't know if we're ready to share yet. Sometimes people have to warm up before they share, but we might get to your experience. Yes, Carrie.
I don't have a personal experience to share about burnout, but I experienced something different, which is I get extremely depressed at the end of a project. So I go hard, I go full, I am in it, I am committed, I am dedicated to see it to the end. But once it ends, I am severely depressed. I feel like, what next? Where to next? What to do with myself next? I need the next project. I feel that's equally unhealthy, don't you?
It is. it's the, it's the, no, I didn't mean to say that like I'm diagnosing, like I'm diagnosing a problem. No, but people have different, what we call it, people have different coping mechanisms. Some people that are high achieving people, they experience what you just explained. So they must be on an achievement high for them to, for them to feel a certain way. And once the achievement has been made and it is complete, they are at odds, like, as you just mentioned, what next? So it is because it's a coping mechanism that you using, that you always have to achieve. There has to be a time where you are at rest. They say, there is work, there is rest, there is movement, there is stillness. But if you constantly have to be achieving, then you do need to find a way to get, because it's the same thing. If you constantly have to have the achievement or the project to get that high, and it's not there and you get depressed, then that is unhealthy. So you're training yourself through that behavior to always need that thing, and if you don't have it, then what happens to you, right? So it is also, and as I said, the high achievers, people might be very anxious or very driven during exam time, for instance, and after exams, like if you're a school child, so after the CXC or the whatever, some children too, instead of celebrating, boy, CXC, I got through the CXC exams, they actually experience a down, because that is what everybody was putting emphasis on. It was the exams, now it's done, what next? So we have to find value in other things, value in peace, value in, yes, you're achieving, you're working, but also value in the down time. And I don't know if I'm like you and feel down at the end of a project. I do know that I am a procrastinator, so it takes the almost at the deadline for me to feel motivated to do the work. But I think at the end I am. Carrie, maybe you tasking me to now reflect on how I operate, because I might be depicting a little of that, particularly recently. But it is unhealthy for real. So we need to have a balance. That's what we always talk about, balance, the need for balance. And that's difficult. So we're not going to act like it's easy. It's not easy. It's very difficult. And everybody is individual, so everybody will have a different way to get balance. So what I hope to do in moving through some of those slides is to give some suggestions on how to achieve your own balance. But I do want discussion coming through as to, does that really work for you, or does something else work for you? So it's just, it's just suggestions. People have different things that they do. But here, managing the stress and safeguarding your mental health. Oh, and by the way, when we talk about health, I forgot to start off with the whole concept that health, you cannot be healthy without the aspect of mental health. So in public health definitions, you always say health is a total sense of well-being, right? Physiological, social, mental. So anytime we talk about helping with our mental health, just keep in mind that we're just talking about our overall health. Because mental health and health are synonymous, essentially. There's no health without mental health, right? So it's not a separate aspect of our life. Mental health is our health. So how do we manage our stress so that we don't experience the burnout or the depressive episodes or the anxiety? Identify your triggers. That is the first point. Identify your triggers. I want someone to tell me what is a trigger for them for stress. What stresses you out automatically? Something that causes stress. Who is willing to let me know? For me, it was the traffic when I was coming here. and being late. Waiting on people. Oh, you and my mother would be good friends. Waiting, yeah. I get that every day. Why I have to wait on you so much now? You're never ready on time. So waiting on people, okay. All right, anybody with another trigger that they want to share?
So I have a couple triggers.
Uh-huh.
One of them is, well, waiting on people, yes. But once you're not on time, you're stressing me out. Right? So that's probably on the top of my list.
Right.
And if you want to kill me, it's just not be committed to what you promised to do.
Yes.
And you take me to an all-time low.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the what I like to call the bubble. Yeah. You say you're going to do a thing and you just don't. Yes, you just. Mm-hmm. So that stresses you. Okay. Anybody has another trigger?
My trigger now presently is I have a 3-year-old preparing for school, preschooler. So everything seems to be stressing me out. With her uniform feeder, how is she going to eat? Is she going to eat her snack?
Wow.
How is she going to behave? I afraid she wet herself in school. I thinking of my husband will have to leave me and I have to stay by school with her. I'll find my way, I'll walk or take a bus. So that is one of my major, because time. Sometimes I tell him, okay, let me tell that. He like to come and say, as are we going down today? He with me making kicks and everything, and all of a sudden they're turning on me, as are we going down today? Just because you see the time. I'm like, oh my God. So I have that stress level now. In July, for September.
Wow.
Because I'm trying to figure it out, how I'm going to do it. Because recently I told him, you know what? I think I will stay by the school and you'll go to work for 7:30. So you decide that already? I'm like, yes, because I'm thinking in advance. Because I can probably walk, get a bus, and reach to work for 8, but he's working for 7:30. So I'm already stressed.
You're already stressed yes. In advance.
And I'm not seeing my way out yet.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm not seeing it.
Okay, so you have identified your trigger, but you don't know how to avoid it, which is the second point. Anybody else with a stress trigger? One of mine is like disorganization or not knowing how things are going to be organized. I hate to come to anything and things are not organized, like what is going on. And some people love or operate ideally in last minute preparation. I said I'm a procrastinator, by the way, but I like things planned and organized there, so it's funny. But some people, they thrive in that. So it's, so people are definitely different. Because for me, if we're going to do something, we said, for instance, let's say we're going on an outing. I want to know where we go in, what is the plan, what are we going to eat, how we go. Some people might be like, we'll just, as it happens, whatever. But I want to know that things are organized and things are planned. It said in my bio that I do a talk show. So Carlton will maybe kill me, but Carlton and I are so different in terms of our approach. Because I will call Carlton and I'll say, Carlton, what are we doing on the show? What? And I will do that on a Monday. Or Carlton will tell me, you will figure that out, So I now want to know long in advance I want to plan, but I know now once I'm rolling with Mr. Langdo, we will just roll, we'll come up with the thing and we'll roll. So I even have to kind of change my own. So that is the next story. Sometimes you cannot avoid the trigger, but you can maybe start to manage the trigger, or you expect the trigger so you know how to react. So that is maybe something like for the people who don't like to wait. You already know certain people are going to make you wait. So you think about that in advance. But it is a tricky thing because there are some things, like the second point talks about avoiding triggers. There are some triggers you maybe cannot predict to even avoid. So you really cannot. But there are some you can. So if you know you don't like people who, or you don't like when people don't keep their commitments, and you dealt with a person 1, 2 times, and they were bubbling you all the time, that's not the person you call when you need something done. So I guess there are certain triggers you can avoid, but there are some you really cannot. I am also triggered, that is another personal one for me. I'm triggered by a stress trigger for me is conflict. So now in my current role, managing people are very, people love, I don't want to say people love having conflict, but somehow people just find themselves in conflict all the time. So in managing people and me not liking conflict, I come and, I maybe plan my little work day, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to achieve, and somebody comes in the office, you see that girl? You see that lady? I just cannot. Where Papa? So here am I stressed out because now I have to deal with mediating the conflict between that person and their manager, or that manager and that manager, So I am very stressed out by people fighting or people not getting along. Like for me, like can we just get along? Like can we just, but somehow that is a trigger I have seen. I can want to avoid it, so I can hide from it. But in certain roles you will have to deal with it. Yes, because it's you they want to solve that problem, that conflict they have. So you have to listen to what the conflict is about.
So you and I are different in that last one. I thrive on conflict.
Wow.
I rather conflict than quiet people.
Really?
Yes. Come and make noise. Come and speak your mind. Say what you want and what you don't like. I thrive on conflict.
Wow. So you see how different we can be.
But here is something I'm going to ask you. We are very different. Here's something I want to ask you about these triggers. So one of my triggers, like I said to you, is commitment. And you just said a while ago then, once or twice you ask them and they bubble you. I also believe if you can't change people, you change people. But here's the trouble. That leads to burnout for me. And that is the one that I'm not yet able to manage. Because if I ask you once and you don't come through, and I ask you twice, you don't come through, I ain't asking you again. But the work is going to be done. I might not even ask somebody else. I'll do it myself.
Do it yourself.
Right. And that now leads me to the question of burnout. So for me to cycle that I have not found a way yet to get out of it, to prevent the burnout or to whatever the burnout. So help me with that one.
And that is a you know what that is? That is like typical group work example. You have group work and the people in the group are not pulling their weight. You have an assignment and you just end up doing the group work by yourself. No, there has to come a point, you need to come to a point, because I know we maybe find ourselves in those situations often, but where you have to hold people accountable, you do. That is if the result is something that is shared by everybody in the situation of group work. Now, if it's something that is you holding the ball at the end of the day, you doing it yourself sometimes is inevitable because you are the one who it's going to fall back on, not a group, right? You are the one that it's going to reflect badly on. So there is the aspect of trying to hold people accountable if it's something that has a shared responsibility. Hey, I'm going to do my part, and to safeguard my mental health and my space, do your part. I will take credit for my part, but I'm not allowing you to take credit for not doing your part. Or take credit for me doing my part and you did not do your part. But if it's something where you have to hold the ball at the end of the day, that is a definite recipe for burnout, as you said. And then the way to manage that would be a time management sort of thing, because you might know in advance, I am always the one that is going to do that project, which is where the time management and the saying no to maybe the size of what you accept comes in, because you already have the idea that you will not be able to depend on people. And I used to accept a lot of things before, especially when I was doing student activities, a lot of big activities, and I'm doing certain things. But now I figure if you ask me to do, like we have in a camp at the State College, and I volunteered to cook for the camp, and I know I'm not going to get help with cooking, so I'm going to choose a very simplistic thing to do. So that's how I'm kind of moderating that in my personal life. So I'm kind of, the things that I accept to do and I know it will fall on me alone, I will try to maneuver what it is that I accept. Okay, I will cook, but you're not getting lasagna and, so this morning I did a soup, is a one pot, because that I did accept the responsibility. I know, I would not necessarily get anybody assisting with cooking for the children today, but I will modify in my mind the level of the task. So is one pot, because I can manage that. If you expected something with dessert and whatever, I'm very sorry. I cannot help you. So I guess one thing we can do is to try to manage what we take on if we know that we cannot depend on help, right? So we manage what we take on. But it's a hard thing, yeah? And as I said at the start, we're not going to act like it's easy. It's a very hard thing. So we're saying that, but some of us have, good hearts and kind spirits, and you'll end up taking on a lot more than you should. But when you see the pattern and you see the constant burnout, you have to wake up one time and say, yes, I can't. So people always ask me to judge things. I want you to judge that, I want you to judge this. And somebody asked me last week, they sent an email about judging something, and it says the people have to write an essay, and I realized there'll be a lot of essays to read to judge that competition, and I know I am very, busy. So I didn't answer the email. So the person reached out and they said, you didn't answer the email. You saw the email. I said, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I saw the email, but I did not know if I can bite off that task at this time, so I didn't respond. And now I'm thinking about it, I really cannot. And I was feeling bad, but then I was feeling good after, because I said to myself, I had the little strength there. It was for a good cause, but I really cannot pick up another task for this week. I had already promised to be here, so I cannot say I'm picking up that person's task to judge the thing. And so it's hard. But sometimes we have to do it. We have to say a little no. Yes, you really do. Or maybe later, not now. If you cannot bring yourself to the no, maybe later, maybe the next project, I will judge it. But this one, not now. So the third one is finding ways to cope with negative stresses which can't be avoided, which is what we've been discussing, actually. Some things you just cannot avoid. I cannot avoid at this point going to the Dominica State College. So even if it might be a stressor, I cannot avoid it, but I have to cope with what I'm dealt with there. Something else that stresses me out on a personal level. Working in an institution where you're trying to do something positive and then there's negative. So nobody nobody talks about the positive, but the negative is like everybody jumping on it. So for instance, last night, a real personal example, I'm there after a hard day, and people are sending me a clip from Parliament of somebody criticizing the state college. And I was so immediately stressed out. I was immediately. So I said, let me tell you, I said, please don't send me that. Please, I put that up as a status. Like, I don't want people to tell me and people to send it to me. I am avoiding that stressor tonight. I had to deal with it today. But tonight, last night, stop sending me the clip. Because, me getting vexed, it's nighttime, I am stressed. I on Facebook looking at all what people saying about State College. I cannot manage that. So I had to say, do not send me. I don't want to discuss it tonight. Today I had to discuss it. But last night, I tried to cope and put it back. But stress is definitely, or can definitely be a killer. And that's why, managing it is something that we all have to do in our own way. So we definitely have to try. Now, I've shown this slide before, and I have to say, I remember showing this slide before in a presentation. I remember Pastor Rodney had something to say about one of those. I wonder if he remembers which one. But what you can do to manage stress immediately, exercise regularly. That's what they say. That's what they say. So Nurse Roach, you saying yes. Boy, Nurse, anyway, I find when I start to exercise, I'm stressed out here. Personally, because it's never easy for me. It's always a very hard struggle. But I am taking this, by the way, this is medical advice as it relates to stress. So I took this from one of those, I believe that particular list is from WebMD. I believe that's where I took that. But yes, Nurse Roach, you wanted to encourage me on the exercising regularly?
Yes, I will say yes. I started exercising from a very early age. And one of the things I used to do is to go alone. And it used to be a moment of reflection. And walking, depending on where you walk as well. I used to go in the early hours of the morning, and I could see the nice sea view and the nice greenery.
So it was calming.
Yes, and I pray and I meditate on good things, and that's why going alone makes a difference and going with somebody else. That will take you into all kind of conversation probably don't even want to be in. But if you go alone, and up to now, I do it. I go alone. And I forget about I'm doing it for medical reason. I know medical reason is part of it, but I do it and for my emotional health. And it is I always feel relieved of stress when I do that. So even if I forget about my medical aspect and I decide, you know what, I'm going because of that time I'm having to reflect. So that part of it will make you really realize it is not just exercising to lose weight or exercising to be physically fit, but it's exercising for emotional fitness.
I guess that's the difference, because when I start an exercise program, and I dropped off from my gym now for a very long time, for months. But when I do start, it's about losing weight. So that's why it's stressful for me, because it's about, boy, I have to lose weight, I'm exercising. So I guess that's the difference. So the exercise just for your mental, well-being, and you're not trying to hit a particular target right away, or you don't have that type of stress to hit a particular target. I definitely see how that makes a difference. And I guess it's the same thing for the maintaining a healthy diet. If you're just doing it, for your mental well-being and for your health, but not to reach a particular, you're not doing it because, boy, I put on 25 pounds. I need to lose it. It's just to maintain your overall stress levels and so on. I guess it can work. And the 7 to 8 hours of sleep, that is where I remember Pastor Rodney had the problem with me. And sleep, well, that one I can do easily. The sleeping thing, I really aim. I don't know if I aim for it, but I just get it. The 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Maybe I'm not aiming, but I definitely am getting it. And on a weekend, I get it times 2. Because on a weekend now, I can nap. So I get it. And minimizing the use of caffeine and alcohol. Caffeine is what is it? A stimulant. So it's going to, if you're already stressed and you're under that adrenaline, and it's going to give you an up. And alcohol, people say you drink wine to relax, but overusing the alcohol is not good.
Yes, I want to ask, how can one aim 7 to 8 hours sleep a night? Because especially when your body can only give you 4 hours.
So people are so different. I guess how I aim is that I am a fowl. So I go to sleep by 8:30. If you're trying to have me in a conversation at minutes to 9, that's very sad for you, because I am sleeping. So that is how I guess I end up getting it, because I go to sleep so early. Even if I wake up early, but the early going to sleep is what gets it. That's how I aim. Mm-hmm.
I normally go to bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
But when it is 2 o'clock in the morning,
you'll wake up.
The body just says no more sleep for you. Yeah, so I would then leave and go and exercise.
Oh.
And come back, and then I'll take 1 hour sleep between 5 and 6.
Wow.
But I even when I'm on vacation or a bank holiday or on weekends, I try my best to fall back asleep, and the body just does not go back. So that's why I'm asking, how does one aim?
So you just used to, that is you have your internal clock is giving you that time frame. Although sometimes our bodies change as we progress through life. So sometimes people were sleeping more when they were younger. As they get older, they sleep less. But it's interesting that you said you exercise and you're able to go back to sleep, because exercise now is supposed to release dopamine, and you're supposed to get that feel-good thing, and you're supposed to feel energized and awake. So it's very interesting that you are able to fall back asleep. So you're operating your physiology is and that's why we all different. Yes.
I was telling Carrie I have an issue with the caffeine, because even at work, sometimes they will look at me in the morning and ask me, have you had your cup of coffee? Because for me, coffee is my stress reliever. So as soon as I get to work in the morning, before I start, I need a cup of coffee. And it doesn't, for me, if I don't, I have this thing. If I don't, and I try, so sometimes I really try and say, okay, no coffee. But at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I must drink a cup of coffee, because that means right now my stress level is right up. I need to sit down, and it's kind of scary. They just see me at my desk, and it's just me and my big blue cup, and I'm just drinking my coffee. And after that, I can take on the rest of the afternoon. I can go all night. So I don't know. For me, not having the coffee
is stressful.
Especially when, if I know I have a long day ahead, I have a full day of interviews, there's no way I'm going to do that without at least a cup of coffee. And not no Nescafe. I need
something strong.
Premium coffee.
Wow. But it says minimize. So there are people who binge coffee, but coffee caffeine, as alcohol is as well, is also you are addicted to the caffeine. So that's why you need it to function, because you are dependent or addicted on the caffeine. And I am the same way in terms of I have to have it in the morning, and I always tell people, that is how I am able to go to work. But because of some of the negative things I know about caffeine and blood pressure, for instance, I have tried to do the decaf and the coffee, the caffeinated, so mix it until I can possibly maybe wean off myself from it. So that's what I'm trying. I'm not saying it has worked, but I do know that the caffeine is you develop caffeine dependency. So when you don't have it, that's why you know. But if you drink too much coffee, as a stimulant, it will make you jittery, it will make you, and if the stress hormones are already causing that, you have like a double whammy. So that's why they saying to minimize. So if you're binging coffee, you're already there, jittery, and then you stressed and you jittery times 2. And that might be a little not good at work, especially. So that's why that is the recommendation. So those are some of the immediate actions, but long term, make time for rest and relaxation and self-care. I'll talk a little bit about that. Stay socially connected so you can get and give support, and that is important. That is very important. And learn meditation techniques such as deep breathing. Not everybody may have tried this, but this is one of the recommendations. As it relates to self-care, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Self-care for your mental health can involve doing certain things that, as I said, I'm going to suggest, but you all may tell me what other things I could add to that list or what other things work for you, right, as it relates to your self-care. Yes?
Before you get into the self-care, I'm wondering if there is some nexus between your time management, your stress management, and your physiology. And I'm asking that because of the comments that we're hearing there now. And probably that's what I shared when you shared the whole question about the sleep. I don't mind going to bed early. Once I don't do anything, I'm not doing anything, I go to bed early. But I will get the same amount of sleep whether I go to bed at 8 o'clock
or whether you go late.
Or at 11 o'clock. And when I get up. And now I can go to work. Now, I'm saying that because for me, in my whole time management, my best hours for visioning, for strategy planning, and so on, for studying, is 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., right?
Early morning.
I am energetic in my brain. I can think. If I have to write a paper, I can probably do it in 45 minutes because everything is flowing. I am good. I am alert. And when I finish doing that, I'm great. Now, if I am stressed, even after doing that, and I go for a 45-minute walk, my brain is defogged, I'm declogged, I'm nice, life is a dream, and we can work on it again. So I'm wondering if there's a nexus between those three.
I believe there is, and there's a fourth one is knowing yourself, because the time management works and can work if you know yourself. Oftentimes when I talk to young people, so people starting, for instance, the state college or younger groups, I tell them, just like you just indicated, you have to know what times work best for you, and then you set your schedule accordingly based on that. Some people are night people, some people are early morning people, and so your time management skills have to reflect what is your best or your optimal operational time, and then that impacts the stress that we're talking about. Because if you're constantly moving against the waves, like meaning you are a morning person, but you're setting all your heavy activities at night, people asking you to do all kind of things at night and you're accepting it, but really your brain is not functioning optimally late at night. Your brain, as you said, 1 to 5 a.m., that's where you do your best thinking. So asking you to maybe be, visioning something at 2 o'clock in the afternoon is already a setup for stress, because it's not the best time for you. So there is that time management thing, and stress, yes, but knowing yourself, because as we've very clearly seen here, everybody is is different. So knowing yourself. Sometimes, for instance, I would say to students, you know already you cannot wake up early in the morning. You cannot choose 8 o'clock classes, yeah? Because you're going to miss all. And then you're going to be stressed out because you're failing. So if you cannot wake up, there's an aspect of discipline that we could discuss. You can discipline yourself. You can, create that discipline to wake up. But as you move through life, you have choices. It is best to do what is your time, what is best for you and your time. I know, for me, I can wake up early, which I do, but I have to I have to, I have to turn around. So I will not set meetings at 8 o'clock because I know it is very unlikely I will be there at 8. I will be there at 8:30 to 9, so I will set my first meeting for 9:30. But I cannot be constantly knowing that I don't make it at that particular hour and setting it. So I'm going to be stressed out every day because every day I have a 8 o'clock. And every day I'm 20. But I do know that I stay at work late every day. So if somebody wants to meet me, and that happened recently, or can I come, some visiting people from that will come in through the Chinese embassy, can they come at 5 o'clock? I said, sure. But for somebody else, that would have been a bad suggestion because they don't want to be meeting anybody at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock is their, dong time. They want to be at their home. So it's, you really have to know yourself. What is your preference? Where do you operate best? Then you schedule your time accordingly. Then you minimize your stress if you're working it right. If you're working it right. And I don't know if anybody can say, we'll get to that in the last little activity, if they're doing it right, and if they're avoiding stress completely. But we'll get to that.
Yes, I wanted to say, to add, well, not add, but to say. So it ties in with what you just said. How do you really manage that stress? Can you really be without stress? Because for me, I am a night person. So all my life, I know I'm studying. I can study up to 1, 2 o'clock, and when I go to sleep, I go to sleep. But now, I am older, and it's difficult for me to do things at night because by the time I get home, I am tired. So I schedule to wake up at 5 o'clock to do it. But when the phone goes up at 5, I say half an hour again. And it goes up at 5:30, and I say, boy, maybe I can do it at 6. And by the time I cannot do it because I'm not a morning person. So now I'm stressed because I have the document to do. I cannot do it in the night. I'm too tired.
And you cannot wake up early to do it.
I cannot wake up early to do it. So I am constantly having that stress.
That is a very interesting challenge. And you said you're getting older. I think myself, I'm older already because it's the same thing. I used to be able to do 5 o'clock to go to the same gym I'm telling you all that I have, dropped out of for a while. Now setting an alarm at 4:30 to get ready to go for 5 o'clock. I have consistently put off that alarm now for the past 2 months, saying that I was restarting. So I can really understand what you're saying because I used to do it. I used to do it just fine. But now, even if I do go to sleep early, I'm finding that I cannot do it. So I think we're on the same level. But I think then if you notice the change in your body's, ability, you then have to say, boy, I have to escape in the middle of the day. To do it, I need to tell whoever it is who or the lunchtime that I have to do, the lunchtime that I have to take, I need to see if I can fit in something. You have to try to change the schedule as your body is changing. Because it's true, your body and your, ability to stay awake or to wake up early, that those things change. Those things definitely change. And no, we cannot be stress-free. Because remember we said at the start, there is positive stress as well, right? And there is short-term stress, there is acute stress. So during life, we will all experience, stress every day there might be. But the key is really to try to avoid the chronic, the long-term, the stress that is going to really destroy your both mental and physical health. So that is what you can try to do, but to avoid stress completely, you cannot. You really cannot. And sometimes stress can be positive too, so you need it. So these are some tips to boost your mental health. Interacting and socializing. Some people are introverts, so they may say dealing with a lot of people does not boost their mental health. But there is a lot of evidence that shows that face-to-face contact can be soothing, can be healing for people, and that these days, because we've become so technologically dependent, that people are getting less of that, and so mental health or mental wellness is diminishing. And people saw that, for instance, during the COVID pandemic, where we had to be isolated, we had to be, everything was virtual classes, virtual this, virtual that. We couldn't congregate. So people, there is distinct research that shows mental wellness during the period of COVID took an all-time low, with people suffering from depression, people suffering from anxiety, So it was absolutely horrible. So even if you're introvert, the interaction at times is good for mental health, and socializing and things like this, that is positive for your mental health, right? So congregating, getting together, hearing other people, or just, you being with other people for some time, for however long you can deal with it, right? Depending on your personality. The sunshine. Sometimes as black people, we like to stay away from sun. But sunshine is important for mental health. The vitamin D does do positive things for us. And it changes mood. People have seen that in places where there is darkness for long periods, like in certain absolute northernly countries, where they have months of dark, right? That people suffer from severe mental health challenges. So sunlight is actually positive for mental health. So you can, 15 minutes is the suggestion, a little sunlight every day to get that. Practice forgiveness. So having people on your heart is definitely not positive for mental health. So practicing forgiveness. So you see, people were sending me the video last night, and who said what they said, I have to forgive, so that today now, I can move through the day and forgive. People tell me, you have to write and say that you're disappointed with the statement, which I will do, but then I'll forgive after, right? So practicing forgiveness is definitely a tip. Going off the grid, and that means you see those phones and those, and all the social media and all the things that sometimes just dampen your spirit because it's negative, or people troubling you. Unplug, go off the grid, let people miss you, so you put up the phone for a few hours and you just dwell in yourself, yes. And not with everything going on in social media. That is hard for some people, but it is very highly recommended. Yes. Show some love to someone in your life. You actually, and I would say, show some love and do something nice for someone. It does actually boost your own mental health. A little personal story for the camp that's going on now at the State College. There's a child who I have started to bring to the camp every day because so they were calling me. They didn't understand how to get the bus that first day. And then I just said, you know what? On my way to work, I'll just stop for the child. I don't know the child from Adam. Like, I did not know her before the camp. But, like, now I pick her up to go to the camp every day. And that boosts my mood. Because the child is happy to go to the camp. I'm picking up. I'm facilitating her going to the camp. It's just a little thing I'm doing, but I feel good doing it. And so those things assist with our own mental health. You're not doing it for yourself. You're showing some love. You're doing something for somebody, and it might not be somebody that you even know or are related to, right? But it's you just do that. Set up a vacation. I think I put that there for myself because I started off saying that, I need a vacation. And recently at work, I've been just searching for flights. I want to go somewhere. I want to have a vacation. I think I'll take it in September. But I'm looking for flights. Where is it cheap to go? I don't care where. But I just maintain. And I think it gives me great joy. And you see, and it's also a feeling of, okay, this situation you're in where you haven't taken a break, but you're planning to take the break. So it's boosting your mental health, because it's like there's a little end in sight. So even if it's a weekend in September, I can take, or 4 days, and I can go on a plane and go somewhere. Just planning that, I'm already, getting a little boost. Work your strengths. And this is said to boost your mental health because it builds confidence. So what that means is if you're strong in something, you do that thing, or you engage in that thing because you feel good as well when you do it. So you are a good cook, and you're cooking for something that is going to help you because you're boosting your confidence. You do something well, and pray. So, of course, the spiritual aspect of it, and this is important. This can help with mental health if you are taking whatever it is that you are, that you are dealing with, and you understand that you can talk about it to the Creator in prayer. And the last suggestion before people give me theirs, it's not a suggestion though, it's a quote. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. So I wanted to put that up last, because talking about whatever it is also a great way to boost your mental health. So it can be talking to a trusted friend, relative, a counselor, pastor. It can be talking. Yes, it can be talking. So holding on to certain things really dampens mental health. Releasing it through talking about it assists. So I used to talk a lot about PCOS on the radio, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I have. And people used to say, you have your business outside talking about PCOS and infertility and all kind of things. But it used to be very healing for me, actually, to talk about the condition, to try to help people to understand. But also it's freeing because I am sharing my personal story. So some people mightn't, the radio thing is the extreme here. So some people you wouldn't, give their personal story to a public audience, but to a trusted friend, advisor, pastor, relative, they would. And that is very highly recommended too. So this is where I said, if you have suggestions, you can. And then I just have a few. I was going to stick these on chairs, but as you all saw, I came late. So I couldn't. So I have a few little things that I want people to share with me as we conclude. And also, if you have any other tips for boosting your mental health or something you've seen that has worked, that you can share with me. I'm the kind of person I like to choose people I know when I'm giving questions. So I maybe need to not do that tonight and ask for those who I have not spoken to for the night to take a post-it. And Daisy is entering just when I'm going to share post-its. I feel like we should start with Daisy, but I wouldn't do Daisy, I wouldn't do that to you. Yes, these are everything I have here is one thing that you have to say. So just one thing. So it's nothing big. So I'm going to share the post-its Share the post-its. Kerry saying, share the post-its. Kerry, I can give you a post-it because you spoke to me. Nurse Roach spoke to me. I'm going to come there. Turn in, all the post-it. My writing is big. My writing is big. I know. Why Kerry trying to I'm giving you one. Look, she's giving. You didn't talk to me for the whole night. Here's a post-it. Here's a post-it. We need to. Pastor, you talk to me so much. Daisy wants a post-it. Daisy's hand was even out, so I'll give Daisy a post-it. Okay. Did I give any men post-its? Yes, I gave Lester. So I'm looking for more post-its. So I need the pretty ladies here to get a post-it. All right. How come you haven't spoken to me? Okay, so the one thing, I have plenty post-its. That's how I use State College's stationery. that is how. Yes. That is how I use the stationery. So if you have a post-it, you can read what's on your post-it and give the one thing. So all the post-its talk about one thing for us to conclude. And if you have a post-it, don't act like you don't have a post-it. I want all my post-its to be read. Yes.
If I start, our pastor said, if you take things from your workplace, that is stealing.
So what I have to do is collect the post-its when I'm done and bring it back. And then tomorrow I will use them at the back. Look, Jolly's getting an ad. Yes.
Okay, one thing which causes me stress. I can give a personal experience, which I experienced just 2 days ago. I am now in a supervisory position, and where I used to be, somebody's acting in my place. Now you need to get to work early in order for you to be effective. So she figures that I know the work, so she can come to work late, and I'm always there trying to cover up for her. So it happened once, it happened twice. Remember, I just took up a new position, so I'm trying to be nice. So after a while now, my supervisors, one told me, oh, you need to talk to the officer. So I'm like, but wait a while, she was under your roof prior to me. You did not kill your monster. Why am I the one to kill your monster? If you had dealt with her before, I would not have to be dealing with her today. So then now, when she came, honestly, I blew up. Because here I am trying to learn my work, plus I have 2 other officers I have to teach the work that I used to do, and then you are coming to work late, and I have to fill in your responsibility. So that in itself is like, when persons don't take up their responsibilities, these things really stress me out.
You. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. You see, that was a nice share. Who is the next post-it?
Me.
Okay.
All right. My own saying, one achievement you have made relating to your health. Well, actually, for me, there are many. But now, one of the most important one for me is breathing exercise and learning to take deep breath, especially when I'm stressed out.
So the deep breathing, nice. Thank you.
Okay,
Who's next?
Mine says one sign that you are in a good space mentally. At work, I'm a supervisor at work. And then when my staff and them say something to me that I didn't like, I normally get vexed. But lately, I've understand that everybody's different. They cannot all please you. So when they talk and I'm not satisfied or I'm not happy with what they say, I go and I take a walk to calm myself and come back and deal with the situation. So I see I have grown in that aspect.
Nice. Nice. I aspire to be like you.
Okay, mine reads, sorry, Nigel, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, my own says one goal you have related to your health also. And I love using scripture, and the Holy Spirit remind me of 1 John 1, where it says, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health just as your soul prospers. So the Holy Spirit, who is my helper, always reminding me that I have to put the well-being of my soul first and everything. Yes, that is the reality. Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's the goal. Thank you for that. That is the goal.
Okay, so mine reads, one action you take daily to take care of your mental health. I take more than one. Deep breaths, lots of that at work. I sleep a lot and I sing plenty.
You sing?
Sing, yes. I sing a lot. All at work, at home, everywhere I'm singing.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what I do.
Nice. Thank you for that. Some people maybe listen to music. If the singing is not too good, they might, just listen to the music.
Okay, one thing you make time for every day. So the thing that I make time for every day is to speak to my mom and my daughter every night.
Okay, so the interaction. Okay, thank you.
My own says, one thing you wish you had to reduce your stress.
Ah, boy.
I don't know why is that paper I get. A closed office space and more money.
I felt it was a bad idea to give Daisy a post-it in. I really felt so. Daisy, thanks for sharing.
Okay, mine said one thing you wish you could find time to do every day. Honestly, for me, it would be a vacation. I've been working for ages and I've never taken a vacation. I always postpone it for something else or use the funds to send my family on vacation.
So here I am talking about the 1 year that has passed and I haven't taken. But you're more due for a vacation than me. You are definitely more due for one.
Okay. Mine says one sign that you are in a bad space mentally.
Like, how would you know?
For me personally,
yes, for
right?
you personally.
If I am irritated to the point where I might end up cursing you,
in a bad space.
I am in a bad space. If I get to that point, that I can get to that place, or if I use alcohol as my coping mechanism. So one of those two things.
Okay. Yeah. So the use, and it's important, thank you for that. It's important for us to know what is our sign that we're in a bad space, because then if we see the sign, then we can know that we have to deal with it. Yes.
Last but not least, one thing.
No, you're not last.
Sorry, Auntie Dio. One thing you have which helps you stress less, my alone time and with music. Yeah, yes. That helps me a lot.
So that's your tool. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, we have.
Okay, mine's with one thing which brings you peace. I'm retired now from government work, but I like to see a clean place. So before I leave my home,
I clean my kitchen, I clean my drawing room. And when I come home and I meet dirty things in my sink and things are not where it's supposed to be, it's stressing me out. So the only thing that brings me peace is my bathroom. When I finish, I go and lie down on my bed and I sleep till next day.
Thank you. Can anybody relate to the cleanly space bringing you peace? That is so true. Although I don't like to clean, but when I do clean, you feel so, yes. I shouldn't say I don't like to, but I don't have the time to do it as I should. But when I clean my room completely, like clean it out and like, you just feel good. Very, very good. I can relate to that. Yes.
One person who helps you remain mentally healthy. Actually, it's not, there are many people who help me remain mentally healthy, especially my children that are not with me. So when I call or they call or even a WhatsApp, mentally I am stable because sometimes I think of what are they doing, how was their day, did they eat, But when I hear from them, I have a son here, he doesn't live with me. And sometimes I'm stressful when I don't hear from him for a while. But once I hear from them, I'm good.
Nice, nice. Thank you. All post-its were read? Yeah, so I need to collect my post-its. But that is all that I had planned for you. I think I went over time, but that is what I had planned for you. I am very grateful for your engagement and your interaction. You are a very, very nice group, I must say, and I really appreciate the interaction. I love it. I loved it. Yes.
I just wanted to give you a piece of advice. But before that, one of the things that you mentioned there, I have a different way of doing it. You said the one about staying away from the...
getting off the grid,
right.
putting off the phone.
Well, let me tell you what I do sometimes. I just do what some people's status is.
You mute them or
yes.
you just do, okay.
I just don't watch it. When I see the name, I pass in that street. Because some of these things, the statuses there are stressing.
That's a good technique.
Right. So some people, I just know that if you watch the status today, you will not have breakfast. So leave that alone. But there's the advice I wanted to give you. You can forgive people and set them straight at the same time. Because the forgiveness is for you. The setting them straight is for you too and for them. So you forgive them and you let them have it nice and proper. That's when I just write the best letters.
Right. Thank you for the advice.
Just a piece of advice.
Thank you for the advice because I did say I have to write a letter, right? so thank you for that. But yes, I really appreciate the advice and I appreciate the feedback from everybody else. And hopefully you will have me again. I know you have plans for that. And hopefully when I come back again, it will be a women's health thing. That is what we promised. Something for women. So ladies, that is the goal, right? And this is an experience that helped me reduce some stress. So thank you for once again being a nice audience. Thank you.
Hello? Nice. It was nice being here, everybody? Yes, so then we can give a second round of applause to Miss Christian. Thank you very, very much for taking time out to be there with us this evening. We just want to say we appreciate you, and we're going to take some of your tips and put them into practice. I'm not sure how well I'll be doing if that's part of it, because I know I have a high level of anxiety. And if my high level of anxiety, it sends me straight to the washroom. So it does that to me. So I'm grateful that I was here. I guess a lot of us are grateful of being here. So we thank you for coming here. And on behalf of everybody, we want to show you how much we appreciate you. It's a nice little token for coming here and sharing your knowledge with us. I'm going to, you're most welcome. Okay, and then coming soon, physical wellness. We're going to have Miss Christian talking to us about our physical wellness. So I would like to see everybody who's here tonight come again and bring somebody with you, okay? So they can get the same knowledge that we get. Thank you, Miss Christian, again. And I'm going to ask Pastor Lester to come and close us in prayer.
Good evening again. Thank you, Ms. Christian, for your presentation here tonight. We want to thank everyone that connected to us via YouTube on our YouTube channel that you viewed us tonight. Again, it was mentioned that there will be a part 2, so look out for part 2. Where we stand, please. And as we do that, I want to remind those, even in our listening audience, we continue to have our book drive, back to school book drive, and book supplies. So if you can make that kind of contribution, whether getting us a school bag, the exercise books, or the pencils, erasers, sharpeners, the necessities for school, please do so. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to your support. And we look forward to you connecting with us again on Sunday morning at 9:15 a.m. for our encounter with God. Amen. Let us pray. Father, we give you thanks for this, that which we've heard and learned tonight. We pray, I pray, God, that we will put into application that which we have learned. We will make good use of the information presented, and it will help us to live an even healthier life. As we go from this place, go before us and take us safely to our different homes and grant us sweet sleep. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.